This is a message for those that don't believe in food allergies, who think that just because they say or they think that that food or item doesn't contain any allergy or tainted. Let me share with you my story. How does a daughter hold her mother close soon after her mom's birthday? This is how Trisha holds her mom January 3, just 2 weeks after her mom's death. Lolita died December 19 from a food allergy, from an allergy that was tainted. From popcorn that was tainted. Someone used latex gloves to scoop up kettle corn that my friend ate on Friday. Hours later, she died. She struggled. Okay, back to my story here. You'll see, here's Lolita. She was my lifelong dearest friend. There's Larry's sister-in-law, Linda. They were taking care of Larry's dad, who was dying. He was 95, so it was his time was over. Here's Dan and Lolita when they first got married, and when we first met Lolita in 78. There's Lolita and I up at Hood Canal painting flower pots. We traveled to Kauai, to Florida. We went everywhere together. I think this is at Scripps Institute, because we had tons of frequent flyer coupons and we couldn't use, so we always took Dan and Lolita with us. And this is the last few days Lolita was alive. This was the last picture that Larry took. You can see their pink Christmas tree. Larry's dad had died December 11, and Larry flew down there, and I stayed home. I would like to show you the video that Lolita made for me, promising to see me in a few days because she knew I was going to be down there for Lyle's memorial service.
Looks like.
Huh? That's all right.
No,
I love Lolita.
Sorry, don't worry about this.
No, this was one of many. This isn't the
I'm
last
gonna have a
one.
sandwich. I don't even know what she got me, but I'm sure it'll be good, whatever it
You're
is.
hungry.
Ooh, avocado and tomato. Looks good. Hi, Cheryl. I love
I
you.
love you, Lolita. I miss
Alright.
you.
There we go.
But anyway, you can see Lolita and I were lifelong friends. Her husband, Dan, and we went to Hilo Hattie's there in Kauai, and we both got those same outfits. We had so much fun going around and traveling with them. We were going to go to Germany and spend a couple of weeks or months there. There's Trisha, her daughter, who lived across the street. I painted that rose picture. That's icky. Anyway, Lolita and Dan's niece. But anyway, this is a message for those of you who think they know about food allergies, and they give somebody something saying, well, this doesn't have the thing that you're allergic to. They have no idea. Cindy Watts had said that her granddaughter, CiCi, ate some chocolate and didn't react. Shanann had a list of chocolates that was okay, and it was more expensive. But CiCi had got into some Hershey Kisses. She said Cindy Watts said that CiCi, being almost 3 years old, this was a couple of weeks before her 3rd birthday, had opened 12 Hershey Kisses and stuffed them all in her mouth in less than 1 minute. I can't even open a Hershey Kiss in less than 1 minute, let alone 12, and then stuff all 12 in my mouth. I find that ridiculous. That's a lie, Cindy. You made me angry, because this is why my friend is in an urn, is because nobody believes in a food allergy. People don't know the reason you don't serve them chocolate, and the reason CiCi didn't react that one time is because the nuts, the Hershey Kisses that she ate, that batch wasn't tainted with the tree nut that CiCi was deathly allergic to. You can eat things that aren't tainted. You can eat it one time, but the next time that batch may be tainted. And you look on the warning label of those Hershey Kisses, Hershey candy, it says, warning, this is made in a facility where tree nuts, wheat, soy, and milk are used in their process of chocolate making. Sometimes it's not tainted. Sometimes it is. So that's why you don't feed anyone something that is not on the list. I have a grandchild that is deadly allergic to chocolate or nuts, and no way will I be expose that child to anything, because we live out in the country and an EpiPen doesn't always work. And an EpiPen didn't work in Lolita's case. So I had pneumonia and I went to the hospital and I had a bad barking cough. This was about 2 years ago, and I told the doctor, gave my allergies, list of allergies. I'm very allergic to corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. One sip will make me vomit, and I'll be on the floor vomiting after a few sips, like a soda. I drank a soda one time and immediately started vomiting. We went out to dinner and I had sweet sour sauce. I didn't know I had high fructose corn syrup. I always wondered why I vomited sometimes, and sometimes I didn't when I ate certain foods. Turned out it was a high fructose corn syrup allergy. So anyway, I'm in the hospital. I have a fever, 102, 3, 4, 5, 6, 110, something like that. Anyway, I was very sick and I was barking. And they gave me some cough syrup. And I says, well, I'm allergic to high fructose corn syrup. She says, okay, this doesn't have it. I said, okay, good. So I was given the cough syrup, and immediately I started vomiting, just retching vomit. So they almost called a code on me. I was vomiting so much. Let me back up about 10 years. I had anemia. I have Crohn's disease, and the list of food allergies and allergies to other stuff is growing. And I've been seeing an allergist and had allergy testing. They say, yeah, you're allergic to this, that, and the other. So I have an EpiPen. So I had anemia, severe anemia. My hemoglobin was down to 7 and 8. So I needed 2 blood transfusions and a iron infusion. That's where they give you iron via an IV. Well, 20% of the people given the iron IV have an allergic reaction to it. So my nurse came in. I had my 2 blood transfusions earlier that day, and defying the doctor's instructions to have the iron infusion first and then to have the 2 blood transfusions. Well, anytime I have 1 blood transfusion, it takes 24 hours of me being in the hospital because I get a fever and I react a little bit. But I need the blood because my anemia got down to 5.1. That was the lowest I've been because I'm bleeding. I had an arteriovenous malformation known as an AVM, and they can be deadly. Mine almost killed me. So anyway, before they discovered where my source of bleed was, I was put in the hospital, and I had the blood transfusions that afternoon, and then they put me upstairs in a small room for the iron infusion. And I said, do they have the antidote ready? The nurse goes, right here in my pocket. I says, okay. She says, I'm just going to give you 2 cc test dose. And I says, nah, just give me a half cc. No, 2 cc. She says, I have never, ever seen anybody react. And I got the antidote, so don't worry. Well, I was worried, but I was foolish, and I believed her. So I says, but only give me half a cc. And in your IV line, that's about that long, 4 inches. I used to be a phlebotomist. I worked in the lab assisting the medical technicians and the pathology. And my mom was an RN. So I've been around the hospital a few times, so I know things do happen. People die. So I was worried, but I trusted this nurse. She told me she'd never seen anybody react. She had the antidote ready, and I was safe because I was in the hospital, right? Not. So I talked her into giving me just half a cc, and she argued she wanted one whole cc. She says, it won't work, won't even get into your veins. I says, okay, but go really slow. She says, okay. So she begins to administer the serum, the IV iron test dose into my IV, and I watched it, and within seconds, split seconds, I reacted. I just went, oh! And it felt like hot, searing knife splitting my spine open. My face turned beet red. I urinated on myself, and I began having trouble breathing, and I fell onto the floor. Did the nurse reach over and push the code button? No. Did the nurse give me the antidote? No. What did the nurse do? She ran out of the room. She left me on the floor and for my husband to take care of me on the floor. And so my husband's picking me up off the floor, yelling for the nurse to come help, and he leaves me, and he goes down to the nurse's station yelling for the nurses to come help. The nurses come. They don't call a code, but they load me up into this gurney, and they take me down five floors down to the ER, not knowing what to do with me. And the nurse is on the phone calling my doctor now, and this is at 9 o'clock at night, calling Dr. Schlippert. Come to find out, this was her first week of nursing. She just graduated. That's why she'd never seen anybody react, is because she'd never been around anybody who had iron IV. So they put me in the elevator. I'm having trouble breathing. My face is beet red, and I am terrified. And they take me into the ER. They come in, and they start working on me. And so the nurse sees the line. She says, I'm going to flush your line here and then give you something. I said, no, it's got the rest of the iron. She says, oh, it's just a little bit. And she starts, I said, no. And I pulled the IV out. Had she put the rest of that 1.5 cc's, she would have killed me for sure. And how stupid. And then fast forward to when I was in the ER having that cough syrup. I was vomiting. They brought the cough syrup. Oh, you're right, it does have corn syrup. Imagine that. Put it on hold.